You were talking about the BLM riots, the Black Lives Matter riots in the United States, and they were pretty bad. And there was a lot of rage over them from people, sort of talking about irresponsibility and violence, and they were ugly. But you saw something that I thought was very significant. You saw loneliness, I think, despair, unhappiness in the face of many of the young people participating. And I was struck by the way in which you were plainly seeing their humanity and almost recognizing a cry for help, a cry for a bigger story, for a purpose. I think what I'm driving at is, my impression is that you are driven in terms of your very active engagement in the public debate. You often say things, just as I do, that perhaps are not so popularly received, but you're driven by a deep humanity, a deep concern for the well-being of young people in particular. Am I reading you properly?
Yes, thank you. And to return to the question of those protests and riots in summer of 2020 in the United States, I don't think most people outside the United States realize how significant those were. There were in that summer over 10,000 incidents of unrest, 500 of which turned violent. And that's to say, Americans were subjected to lots and lots of video capturing all of that. And in that video, one can see the expressions of rage and disconnection on the faces of so many young people. And it was particularly striking to me, John, because as you know, my work has been trying to capture that in a different way for years now. I believe we have a serious problem among the young, and I believe it is stemming from a radical kind of disconnection from things that most of humanity has taken for granted, from family, from church, from social groups. And I think we've really reached a tipping point with all of that. And part of why I feel compelled to make the case for conservatism in the public square is that I don't think the other side has an answer to any of that. I don't think progressives recognize the suffering out there that has been caused by radical social change in the United States and across the West.
Yeah, just as an aside, before we come back to the central issues here, I was in America recently, and I was in a city that is widely regarded as one of the most progressive, in inverted commas, in America. And I actually met a couple of family ladies there, very nice middle Americans, and they were talking about those riots. They made the observation that the defunding police, the extraordinary answer to the problem, left them feeling more vulnerable than ever and tempted themselves to go out and buy handguns in case there weren't any police if somebody attacked a member of their family. I had a look at gun sales in America. They've been rising steadily. And these two ladies made the point that the irony of this is, having made us feel very exposed, having tempted us to think about buying handguns when we've never had them, they'll then turn around and call for gun laws. The very people who defunded the police have created an environment where we don't feel safe, and to look after our families, we think we've got to go and do the thing the progressives least want us to do. The illogicality of all of this is one of the things that strikes me.
Yes, and it is roiling city after city in the United States that are under progressive administrations. There is not a major city on the East Coast that you can enter these days without being struck by the difference between 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and today. And this is especially visible in Manhattan, for example. And it's one of the biggest problems we face in the US is this breakdown that I think will be righted, unlike some other kinds of breakdown in short order as new administrations come in. So that's the good news, the guardedly good news.